Right, today we have more news regarding the solid state buttons for the iPhone 15 Pro being cancelled, as well as the average selling price increasing for iPhones, which could hint towards higher prices. So yeah, let's delve into this. So recently there's been tons of rumors regarding the solid state buttons. We initially expected for iPhone 15 Pro being cancelled, and while now we have some confirmation of sorts because Apple supplier Cirrus Logic says a new product they were planning to release with a customer this fall is no longer expected. And for those wondering, Cirrus Logic makes the Taptic engines in all iPhone models, and we were expecting 2 additional Taptic engines in each device for these buttons. And so yeah, they're basically vaguely telling us Apple no longer plans to give us solid state buttons. Now they do say there is a chance the HPMS component in question could come to market next year, so maybe the 16 Pros get this. But yes, at least for the 15 series, they're gonna have the same old buttons we've had for years, but there is still gonna be an action button that's replacing the mute switch. Now I know many are against this, but to be honest, as someone who leaves their phone on mute 24/7, I am looking forward to the action button because if it's customizable, it's gonna be way more useful than a mute switch. And so yes, I'm glad this made the cut for the 15 Pros. I'm not too annoyed about the lack of solid state buttons. I can live with the older buttons. And hopefully this resolves all the confusion we've had about these buttons, because it's kinda wild we've had so many reports about a tiny component like buttons on a device. But yeah, there's that. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this. It would be appreciated. Anyways, let's now move on to some not so great news for us, but fantastic news for Apple, and that's the fact the average selling price for iPhones has now hit an all-time high of basically $1,000. It's $988 if you want the precise figure, but that's basically $1,000. And so all of this means that Apple's plan has worked. They butchered the regular 14s on purpose and priced them too closely to the Pro models, and so as a result, everyone has now got the Pro models, and they're more popular than ever. Also remember, outside of the US, there were major price hikes for the 14 series, so I'm sure that's also a factor as to why the price has risen here. But this is fantastic news for Apple because it shows Apple that their consumers are willing to spend the big bucks on the Pro models if there are enough differences between the regular and Pro models. And so I'm pretty sure this is going to give Apple a sign that they can increase prices and charge more for the Pros, because as we see with the data, they can get away with it and consumers are going to pay up. Also remember, a source did tell us to differentiate the pricing between the regular and Pro models, Apple was going to give the Pros price hikes. And so yeah, that could be the case this year because Apple's average selling price keeps increasing on a yearly basis. And here I was hoping the regular models would get cheaper, but that's definitely not going to be the case. Apple's likely going to give everyone price hikes. And yes, as a UK person, I'm not looking forward to that because the 14 Pro series was already pretty insanely expensive. And yeah, considering the 14 Plus is $900, we could soon see regular models starting at $1,000 and maybe the Pros being $1,500. Apple's basically going to be pushing the limits of how much they can charge for iPhones and get away with it. And so yes, I'm not looking forward to that, especially as someone outside the US. We usually get the worst pricing. Anyways, let's now delve into your questions. So J Smoothie says, the action button is going to be a game changer, truly exciting. I'm hoping they give us more than 4 colors to start. It should be 5 to 6, like the regular non-Pro iPhones. So first of all, yes, I'm looking forward to the action button. If Apple really lets us customize this to open any application or function we want, that could be pretty convenient, so I'm glad we're getting it. And as for the color situation with the Pros, I don't understand why we don't get more colors for the Pros. I'm hoping as they do become more popular, Apple gives us 5 or 6 colors as standards. So Trent Raw says, frankly, any button on the side of the phone that's not a volume button is just gonna fill me with paranoia every time I press it, cause part of me will always think of it as a power off button, lol. And fair enough, I did also see some express that they're against the idea of an action button because it's very easy to mistake this as a volume or power off button in your pocket compared to the mute switch. So I do understand this perspective. But honestly, in my opinion, that's a small price to pay for the convenience this button could offer. If I could easily switch a focus mode on and off, or access the camera immediately with this button, I'll gladly live with it. So Xander says, I would definitely use the action button as a screenshot or screen record button. And yes, I could see that being another popular shortcut, since right now it's a bit of a faff to use a combination with multiple buttons, so having one action button on the sides would be a lot more convenient. So Xander, regarding the leaked iPhone 15 colors, says, I prefer the dark green, and I disagree with that because I've always preferred lighter shades, and if the rumor's right, and this is very similar to the iPhone 12 green, I would take this over the iPhone 13 green any day. So Joe, regarding the regular iPhone 15 series, says, I don't have anything to say about this report, a better update from the iPhone 14 but still meh. I guess I'm not the right market for this device. Hopefully it's still not using the A15 Bionic, that would be bad. And yes, I completely agree, the A15 chip for this would be a big disappointment. Yes, I know this chip's still good enough, but for the price Apple's going to charge for this, we should get some future proofing with a newer chip, and thankfully that does seem to be the case. All reports have been suggesting the A16 chip is going to go in this. Now regarding the other upgrades, I still think this is going to be a pretty decent upgrade. The colors, the 48 megapixel main sensor, the island, those changes are quite nice, and hopefully coupled with a low price, this should be a much better deal. But yes, for the techies out there like yourself, you should get the Pros because those have all the newest features, but for regular consumers, these phones are going to be great. So Timothy Tay says, I'm going to get the iPhone 16, not sure to go with the Pro or the Standard. So actually, we do already have some early reports regarding the iPhone 16 series, and it seems the regular models could get some big upgrades. I've heard about triple lenses for the regular models, and also the much more efficient A17 chip, but of course with the Pros, there is going to be a new Ultra variant that could maybe have better specs. So yeah, just wait for more concrete rumors regarding the iPhone 16 series. So Thomas says, Apple's playing it safe. Releasing a bunch of new products now could be risky, especially after a weak 2022 product lineup. In my opinion, only the Apple Watch Ultra was a very good release this year. Now, I would disagree with the last point. I do think there are other good releases in 2022, like of course AirPods Pro 2, the Mac Studio. But yes, I do agree there were many mediocre refreshes last year, especially of course with Apple's budget lineup. The iPhone SE 3 and the iPad 10 were pretty bad. And so I can definitely understand why Apple's playing it safe, and why they're not releasing the SE4. Anyways, tell me your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.